a teleportation sounded outside, and a horse sort of blows its lips and sighs outside. Peeking through the window, you realize that it is none other than Bucephalus, the nightmare mount of Lord Strahd himself. But it is not ridden by the vampire lord. He is ridden by an old associate of Ned's, Alejandro, who has long been turned for the duration of your stay here, accompanied by two of Strahd's brides, Anastasia and Ludmilla herself. Alejandro called out that he meant no harm and that he wished to discuss. There's an issue that he requires your assistance with. Strahd is missing. And that is where we left off last time. So, as we resume this scene, Alejandro outside. Strahd is missing, and we will require your help to find him.
Oh, why should we give a damn?
You're
Gawain
fairly
just
certain he heard and ignored.
Gawain just kind of raises his hand like he's in school, just waiting. And he's just kind of like, how do you lose the land? Gawain stomps. It's right there.
He
He's here.
closes his eyes for a minute and just sort of like bites his lip.
He must be here somewhere.
Yeah, Gawain, let's head to bed. If he's gonna ignore me, I'm gonna ignore him too.
You raise an interesting question. What happens when the anchor of this plane is not to be found? The answer is that the plane unravels. It will be the death of everyone here.
So,
Is-
are you saying that Strahd is no longer in Barovia, like on this plane? Or you just misplaced him and he's gone somewhere, but still in Barovia?
No, it is. Option one. I can feel it in the land and in the water. It is like a. It is uncaged. And it is unstable. If
I
you don't believe me, I can show you.
I mean, doesn't he
mm,
disappear on occasion all the time? That's, between when people like us are here or not. I don't understand the big deal.
No, he
Oh,
doesn't
so you can
disappear.
hear me. Okay, good to know. You're requesting our help, and when I ask a question, you decided to ignore me. Maybe you want to come correct.
Ned, it was a sassy remark that did not warrant a reply.
It was a sassy remark to your enemies who don't give a fuck about Strahd. So as sassy as it was a legitimate question. Why should we care? You told us, and at this point, I'm thinking, what's the point? Everyone here is cursed to live an eternal life of hell or they're dead. Maybe they should choose which one they want. Now, again, when you come to someone, sassy question or not, you answer. You're coming to us after all.
He doesn't say anything, but he does appear to like have checked himself slightly and recognizing the wisdom of play nice, you're asking for help. Regardless, that is all true.
Usually what I speak.
But we are unable to perform the rites required, which is why we have come to you. I
And what
assume
does
that
that
you have
mean?
a vested interest. The what we have learned so far is that he is there is a great disturbance in the lands beyond the borders of the mist, and it appears to have sent shockwaves through all of realities. I can only assume that that is what has disrupted our Lord's presence and has drawn him into something else, drawn him away to somewhere else. But as I mentioned, we do not have the capability to perform such rites, given our nature.
What makes you think we can? We have far less power here than you.
You are mortal. The magic will find you. We will find the ritual together, and because you are mortal, you can harness it. It is beyond us, as we are past beyond that mortal coil.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to hog up your time, but which ritual are you talking about?
A summoning?
Of Strahd.
Correct.
I have another question. Is it not possible to simply find a new anchor? If the old anchor is gone, then something should be able to be put in its place.
That is... What do you propose?
Someone else take over because Strahd is gone.
You will have to step into shoes that have taken boots that have taken decades and decades to build. He did not simply wake up one morning having been a mortal man the night before into who he is today. He is coalesced and amassed the powers here in this realm and gathered them to himself. It would be a monumental undertaking that he was only able to achieve because of the gifts he had already amassed. His heritage, his lineage, enabled him to gather and assert his dominion.
I mean,
But you're saying it's possible.
yeah. I mean, Gawain's a literal star. I think that's more powerful than a vampire. I'm sure he'll survive it.
Are you willing to risk everyone, all of the people? Is that a gamble that you feel comfortable making? Because that is what it will be. If you cannot, if you do not, then it is not just us, and that will cease to be. It will be you and all of the citizens.
No, I would not feel comfortable unilaterally making that decision for everyone. But if everyone agreed upon it, yes, I would take upon the burden.
Let me at least show you what the stakes are. And he holds a hand out.
Do we have to touch you for this to work?
No, it
Then let's
was
not.
merely a symbol. You guys step toward them? Question mark. Or are you... He's offering to do something to show you guys something. Are you guys going to go along with it, or are you still hesitant and not sure what's going on?
Misty is hiding inside the building still, just kind of peeking through a window.
In Draconic, in like the older dialect that me and Ivor have been talking in, I just call out to him and Echo. If anything goes wrong, take him out, and I'll step forward.
Suppose you shouldn't go in this alone. I'll step forward as well.
I stay with them.
Wait, with us or with who?
With you guys. I go with you guys.
Ludmilla will step forward as you guys approach, and she'll reach over and put a hand on your shoulder, Ned. Thank you. And then sort of take a half step back and readjust. Just these three? Or are we to take the rest of your companions?
Oh, that's up to that.
I think the rest of them are going to stay behind.
He looks through the window at you, Misty, and sort of cocks an eyebrow.
I'll send a telepathic message to Riss. I'll follow, but from a distance. Gotta hide my tracks somehow.
Rich
Before
just
we-
nods.
Before we go anywhere with you, is this a physical trip we're making, a magical trip, something in their minds? What's the plan?
Oh no, we need to go to Krezk, and the quickest way there is through teleportation. And he begins to fish out a what looks to be like a rosary or some sort of necklace of beads.
In that case, shouldn't Ivor and his clone actually come with us? I thought we were just like, I don't know, gonna stand here and have some kind of vision.
Ah,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah, in that case, Misty will come out. She'll stay very far up to the back, but she'll come out.
And as you guys sort of step forward, he whispers something under his breath and just pulls like sort of almost like praying the rosary kind of thing of one bead and one bead and one bead, and then he holds it up, and the pendant at the base glows with a red light, and it the same red energy erupts from around from the ground around each of your feet.
Did the mounts come with us?
Yeah, that's fine. And you guys find this flare of red fades, and you are now no longer at the watchtower at Selenka Pass. You are at the you are in the courtyard of the monastery of the abbey in Krezk, where it is, even just in the very short time that it's been abandoned, it has been, like, nature has started to reclaim it. Very quickly, the stone has already begun to crumble. These brush and other plants have begun to overgrow, and as you glance around and just sort of take stock of your surroundings, it's very, very obvious to the west. You look and you see, like, very slowly chunks of earth and trees, rock, just slowly levitating and rising. As you're looking on, one of the rocks twists and breaks into two, almost as though it's weightless. It's ever so faintly rising, but it spins as though it's in zero gravity. This is what it has been. It has been going on for the last few days.
I'm sorry, can you repeat? So, like, what's going on exactly?
So the borders, the edges of this valley are just sort of like unraveling. They're whatever, like, the rock face is cracking and it's just sort of lifting up, almost in this, like, cycle itself. You expect that, given enough time, it would float up into the sky and into the mists and just dissolve, and return to nothing. But Alejandro continues to explain, this valley, this plain, is collapsing in on itself, albeit very slowly. Given enough time, it will shrink and shrink until every living creature is on top of itself, on top of each other, in the very center.
Where's the center? Castle Ravenloft?
Interestingly, no. It is closer to the Tsar Falls, which I'll put you guys on the main map just so you can see.
Wait, where is it?
Oh,
So
the Sir Falls here.
The center
there
is
it
like
is.
this area here.
Got it.
Almost due west of Castle Ravenloft. But before that, the edges, the borders, will dissolve and force its predators further inland, which will force the villagers further in, until it'll be a slow death, is the problem. And that
No, how much time do we have?
it has been a few days, and you can't see it to tell, but it will be here within a few days, so a handful of weeks at the most.
Really quickly, now that I think about it, and this is off character, the spell that was being consistently cast on us that made us feel uneasy, I'm guessing it was these guys. That's a yes. Okay.
I don't know what it would have done if Riss hadn't failed, because they didn't know about Misty, and everybody would have been immune to the scry for the next 24 hours. And you
I
wouldn't have known where you were.
might have figured out what it was last week and been like, well,
Okay. So a few questions. Well, several. And Alejandro, you know me, I'll ask many questions moving forward. What exactly does this ritual entail?
I have not seen it myself, I've only heard of it. It is... It is a seeking, a binding, and a withdrawing. It is much like fishing through the astral sea. But you have a very specific target in mind.
But you're not sure what specifically it requires, materials.
No, I am... Unfortunately, it is not something that Lord Strahd was excited to share.
And then where would you find out more then? If
I have
we agree
scoured
to do
his...
this, that means.
I have scoured his personal library, and I have found nothing. But there are members of denizens here that are older than Strahd's library. There is the Vistani, come and go as they please. There is the Mountain Temple, which I suspect is where you are headed. And there are a number of ancient entities, ancient orders who have collected knowledge over the centuries.
You said you searched Strahd's libraries. Have you searched the entire castle?
Not brick by brick, no.
Would you permit us to do so?
Give me a persuasion check.
And if you do
Oops.
permit us
I
to do
accidentally closed. Give me a moment.
so, if you do permit us to do so, would you do us a favor in exchange for assisting you?
I believe that was in our best interest. All of our best interest. For the collective good.
Return
I did not
Yana.
see this as a favor.
Return Yana, and we shall help you.
That is not a... Even if I wanted to, that is not something that is within my power to grant. Lord Strahd himself has bound her, and only he can release her.
I rolled a 14. I'm going to use a sorcery point to re-roll that attempt to get a better one.
Okay.
There we go. 19.
When you ask the... you ask, would you permit us to conduct a thorough search? Both Ludmilla and Anastasia both immediately look back at Alejandro like, what? What is the meaning? What you can't possibly is the look on their face. And then it's consternation as Alejandro sits atop Bucephalus, silent, contemplating. Not unsupervised, but I do not see why it could not be arranged.
Makes sense.
Everyone give me an insight check.
8. 5. My God.
Oh boy.
9.
At least I didn't get that from my persuasion.
6.
Oh boy, guys.
How am I the highest with a 9?
With a 9.
I rolled a 2.
I rolled a 2 as well.
All right, never mind then. Carry on.
Can I? Do I know anything? Can I make like an Arcana check, like to figure out what spell he's referring to, or?
Find planar beast.
Yes. Go and give me an Arcana.
Okay.
But upon asking, like, not unsupervised, like, well, that makes sense. My theory being a man like Strahd has plenty to hide. You yourself said he doesn't share everything with you. So why not search everywhere?
He seems favorably disposed to your suggestions, while both of the brides are very much in like biting their tongues hard. What was that, Arcana? Yeah, that's obvious to see. There's no way that going to be concealed. What was that Arcana check?
19.
19. What he's saying sounds vaguely in the realm of a couple of different spells. There are spells that you can call out a name of a creature and like target them directly. There are spells that very high level magic that allow you to pull someone into the plane. That you're on regardless of where they are. His specific wording gives you the idea that this is less of a instantaneous effect, and this would be more of a ritual process, much like some of these other situations that you've run into recently, specifically with the Beauty of Broken Bond vows. But it's not something that is altogether surprising to you. You're like, I see where this is going.
Mm-hmm. Is this a... Have you or someone else... Have you seen this ritual performed before?
I have not. Not personally. And he glances at the brides. But I have not been here very long. Is only as long as the rest of you.
Gee, I wonder why.
Riss ignores that for a moment and shifts attention to the brides. Have either of you seen it?
I have not. Anastasia replies. It is not something that Lord Strahd would have made a display of. And this has never happened before. And Ludmilla chimes in. Agreed. It is not something that I have encountered.
Do you know for sure that this ritual exists in a place one of us can perform it, or at least copy it? Or are we going to need to make it? Because if you can't tell me 100% that it exists somewhere, I could try to make something that would do the same, but I do need certain spells to be able to do it.
While I did not find it specifically, my research has indicated that there are such rituals that are scattered about the land. Alejandro clarifies. I would begin with the Vistani, Madame Eva. Beyond that, we would have to brainstorm and find more suitable ideas if they prove to be unfruitful.
Sorry, Stephen, can you remind me what the name of the mountain thing is that we were going to?
Mount Gacchus.
Mount Gak.
Let me see. Gacchus?
Yes.
You mentioned, oh, there it is. Yeah, okay. You mentioned Mount Gacchus as well. We were already heading over. We had some important business there, and you mentioned that we could potentially find out more about that spell there. I'm assuming just a chance.
It is a possibility. There is a temple there that is even more ancient than Lord Strahd himself.
Perhaps it can kill two birds with one stone. Our birds, of course. And we can continue on our way there to handle our business while also looking. If that doesn't work, we can head to Strahd's castle. That just, to me, seems like the place to go. That, and I'd very much like to check on our friend Yana. I know she can't be let loose by you, but we can certainly talk to her.
That will not be a problem. Very well. We will check in periodically. I will follow up.
Before you go, can you send us back to where we were?
Oh, I forgot that we were in Krezk. Yes.
Or better yet, since we have your services anyway, along the bridge there was something, I'm not too sure. Could you either teleport us to the very top of Mount Gacchus, or, if you can, take care of that problem?
Oh, you mean the shade? It is not a problem. It is not a combatant.
So it will not harm us.
No. No, it is
It's just
merely
gonna
a shadow.
It's just gonna stand there menacingly.
As you were wont to say.
Anyone else?
As he grabs his rosary beads once again.
Well, why transport us to the bridge? Why not just take us all the way to the temple?
I have not been given authorization. I am merely able to bring you to the pass and no further. It is technically a restricted area, but I will ensure that the shade does not bring harm to you.
Can I do an insight check on her or on them? Specifically on the phrase "I have not been given permission."
Yes. Are you trying to just see if that's truthful, or did you have another angle?
To see if it's truthful, and to possibly gain some insight onto. I know I couldn't find out who it actually is, but if there's any insight into who the person might be without giving name or actual personage, if that makes any sense.
So you said insight into which person might be?
Into who might be giving the permission.
Ah, got it. Okay, yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Insight. 13.
13. He seems straightforward enough through the the initial chastising that and tongue lashing that Ned gave him, Alejandro seems to be a little bit cowed, almost like a Pavlovian response of Ned is still in charge in some small way in Alejandro's brain, despite whatever brainwashing or whatever Strahd did to him.
Funnily enough, I would say Nedro probably never spoke to him this way before the betrayal. This is all a response to that.
Listen, hardwired in, you're the charge, you're the protectee. But yeah, I mean, he seems to be upfront enough, because he realizes that he wants your goodwill, and there's not a lot of manipulation to be found here. He's very serious about this. It seems to be a big deal for him. As he sort of thumbs through the beads and sort of twists the final one on the strand of whatever cordage, it sort of glows a little bit, and the pendant flares again. This red rises and then falls, and you find yourselves back in the watchtower at Selenka Pass, where you left.
DM,
Yes.
just because it just occurred to me. While I have this opportunity with Orion, he is going to memorize each and every one of their scents.
Okay. Go ahead and give me a intelligence check for him
Damn, I was hoping it was
to see if he
perception.
can memorize
Not-
it.
Not perception?
No, perception, he can
Memorize.
smell them easily enough, but to remember and like lock it in a sense memory, go ahead and give me. I would also accept a wisdom, flat wisdom.
I'll take flat wisdom. That's a +1 instead of a -4.
Oh boy.
Definitely not a smart kitty.
Although it's not quite a -4, right? Because he with the
Oh, yeah, it would be like a -1
it would still be a
or
negative.
-2.
It's still
Yeah.
a minus.
It would still be a negative, but he is slightly smarter.
Smart cat.
Jesus Christ, I need better light in here. Oh, that's a natural 20. Dope. So
Hey.
it's a 21.
21, natural 20. Yes. With a natural 20, he knows. He will recall the specific sense of all three of these, and Bucephalus.
Ooh.
So that was Ludmilla, Anastasia.
Alejandro and Bucephalus.
Okay.
So death,
And
death,
Bucephalus
death,
is
and
the
sulfur.
nightmare, right?
Yes.
Yes. But yes, death and sulfur. And that weird plastery heat that when you crank your car's heat and just like,
Oh,
I love that.
As we're standing there, Gawain's been rather quiet and he's been contemplating, but he did just realize that someone's missing and just looks at the two brides and just says, "Where's the third of your number?"
The brides smirk. As you mentioned this missing third, and Alejandro, we were only able to bring a small group with Bucephalus, and he sort of rubs the nightmare's neck a little bit. He can only transport so many creatures at a time. But everyone's passive insight is high enough that there is definitely like she was cut specifically. Everyone give me an insight check, actually. There's definitely a pecking order going on here. There's a reason why she was left behind.
Let's do better, guys. That
Nat
last
20!
Nat
Hey!
20.
Oh my
Yeah!
gosh!
Holy shit!
Nat
Oh
20.
my gosh!
Gawain, it's up to you.
Okay. Ow. Nope, it didn't make it. Stop
Oh, we got
filling out
3
the
nat
thing.
20 somehow.
There we go. Now that's like an 8 for me.
Ah,
Sorry.
Aw.
Get them out
So
now,
close.
guys. Natural 20 for Misty, Riss, and Ned. You all recall the amulet that shattered during the most recent confrontation at Castle Ravenloft when Yana gave herself up.
Fucking amulet. Hate it. Sorry.
And yeah, it was wild. Misty, you recall this from stories and recounted tales of that fight. She went berserk, and she became even more unhinged than she already was.
Can you remind us her name?
Valenta.
Valenta, yes. She's the one who was wearing the mask and wanted to bleed the servant dry for making a little mistake.
Yeah, until he interfered there.
Mm-hmm. She is just such a loose cannon. You suspect that not only is there a 3-person limit on Bucephalus, but it was the convenient scapegoat that Alejandro was able to use to be like, oh no, it only takes 3. Valenta, you hold down the fort, because there is 0 way that he's able to control her. But yes, he gives the political answer of, oh, we can only take 3 people. He can only take so many. While the other 2 brides sort of like cross their arms and sort of smirk. But of course, it was a tactical decision. Anastasia quips. There are other things that require our attention. She sort of quips up to Alejandro. And Ludmilla holds up a finger. I have not visited my tower in a very long time. You may leave me here. I will rejoin you as soon as I can. And Alejandro nods. Very well. We will be in touch.
Before they go.
Yes.
What was the answer to the question when I said how much time do we have?
Several weeks.
Oh, okay, got it. Never mind.
For posterity, before you leave, how long exactly has Strahd been gone?
It has been...
I know you said a couple days, but like, actual number.
And he pauses for a moment. Today will be the 5th day.
Damn, Alejandro. First you lose me and now Strahd. You might need a new profession.
I would like to point out that both of these are outside of my control. It's not as if I'm...
I mean, the point of being a guard is to protect against things outside your control. That's kind of how it works. If it was under your control, there'd be no guarding.
If it is under my control, it would have been precluded because of my guarding.
I don't know. Gawain's kept me pretty safe. And there's a lot of shit out of his control.
He shoots a venomous glance over at Gawain,
That actually worked.
who is notably wearing the armor of his fallen comrade.
Mm-hmm.
Alejandro will remember this.
I wanted to.
Gawain just Gawain just looks over at Ned and just says, I think a job hop at this soon after breaking his oath would be a little too far, too fast.
Uh, very true.
But unless there is anything else that you need of us, we are required elsewhere.
Mhm.
And this time Anastasia reaches over and just sort of takes a half step towards you, Ned, and like leans in and says quietly, not whispering to you, but quietly, "It is good to see you alive and well." And she just sort of like pats your cheek
And what
and
do you mean by that?
steps back and puts a hand on Bucephalus's side, and the three of them, Bucephalus and Alejandro and Anastasia, disappear.
Well,
I
that
really,
was.
I really
Sorry,
hate
what?
being blatantly ignored.
What did you say? I wasn't quite listening.
Anyway, Gawain, what were you saying?
Um, I was just going to remark on you know, how it's always a pleasure to see them, but I couldn't really summon the sarcasm in the moment.
God, you know I always can. Um, are we really gonna do this? I mean, I know you kind of have to, but it feels so fucking wrong. Like, we don't like any of them.
Well,
It's not about whether or not we like them. This
And
is
it's about Riss and I losing our home.
our families.
You're
We can't.
right.
There's no way for us to leave. This is all of us. My brain is
surely,
breaking about the fact that Strahd has even left because arguably the whole thing was he's not able to go. That's why this whole cycle exists.
Hmm.
So whatever outside of this whole thing did this is breaking rules that shouldn't be broken.
Hmm. Well, we have made a lot of allies here, and of course, I am concerned about you and your family, Riss. As much as it pains me to say, we gotta save Strahd.
Do
God
not
damn
think
it.
of it as saving Strahd, more bringing him back so we can kick his ass.
Which reminds me, we can still get to the top of the mountain, figure out what's there that could help us against Strahd. Go under the pretense that we're there to find a spell. Um,
Also, we should move quickly. If my math is correct, and this is assuming that the shrinkage of the mists is the same speed and it doesn't speed up as it closes in, which is a big possibility, we probably have 5 days before before the shrinkage reaches Barovia, like the village of Barovia. We have like 6 or 7 before it reaches Valaki, but that's not to talk about the amount of forests that we will be losing. All of the monsters will be heading towards the center.
well, if that's the case, what do you think our first order of business should be?
Well, we should definitely go to the temple, but I don't think I don't think we should double, or we should try to keep any side quests, for lack of a better word, odd. I was fine until Steven smiled.
So you do read the Final Fantasy books,
You know I don't.
but there's side quests in there all the time.
But we should keep those to a minimum.
Riss, you start to bleed out of one nostril.
Again?
Um, but no, I definitely think like if I'd honestly, as much as I want to search that castle, like as much as that would please me to be able to pull that castle apart brick by brick, I don't know if Strahd has it. Especially if the brides and Alejandro have never seen that used before. That doesn't seem like a spell Strahd would want within reach because who else could you potentially summon with it?
Oh, my intention was fully not to look for it there. There are
Right.
several reasons for us to be in that castle.
I mean, absolutely.
But if time is limited, I suppose that's not the best move.
I'm wondering if we should move up our attempts to find Van Richten. If the temple doesn't have anything that we need.
You would prefer looking for what's a legend, and granted, I actually really want to find him myself, over the Vistani, which we know are very much real.
No, that's true. I forgot about the Vistani. Well, I mean,
I mean, again, I personally prefer Van Richten, but it seems if we have such a small amount of time,
isn't
may
B
not
team
be the
looking
best.
for Van Richten? Isn't that what we sent B team to do?
I thought they
You
were looking
sent
up here.
Esmeralda
Oh,
specifically to look
Esmeralda.
for Van Richten because she was, or she purports to be his apprentice.
Right, okay.
So,
Maybe we check in with Esmeralda if we find nothing at the temple and see if she's been able to make any headway. I know in game it's been like 2 days since we sent her after him, but maybe she
so
found something.
what is
So
the
she is,
in-game time? This day's been long as fuck.
yeah, it has been. What time is it? You guys traveled here. It's probably midday.
Damn, we
God,
got a lot done in this
so much has
midday.
happened in
I
this
know.
one day.
Are you absolutely sure?
Like it's been 3 sessions in this day because like we started out at the ruin
We started up.
with
Oh wait,
the
Oh, yes,
undead
Mhm.
that's
people.
right. Oh, yeah. That's even further downward than it
yep.
was, because it's only like 2 miles to the village, the swamped village of Berez. And then you guys continue to
Am I
cross.
wrong in thinking this isn't this the same day that started after we left that thing where we found the book?
Yeah, no, that was
Yes.
today.
No, that
That
is
was this
today.
morning.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. So we went there, we spent an hour going through memories. Then we went and met the bootylicious hag. We did all
Hmm.
that bullshit. Then we came over here, dealt with this puzzle. Then we fought. And then we went up north, saw the whole thing. We discovered here, and then we did this bullshit.
So maybe not midday. It's a few hours later. It's mid-afternoon.
Got it.
That feels much more reasonable because it's only a distance is only like 5.5 miles from Argynvostholt to where you are now.
It just feels like we've been waylaid a lot today. Not necessarily that
Mhm.
haven't made good
There's been a
distance.
lot going on. Yeah,
No,
there's been
no,
a lot of action.
we've been productive in ways we didn't expect.
Also, what happened to the blizzard? Did the blizzard just stop when they showed up, or is it still blizzarding?
Nope, still blizzarding.
Oh, okay. So we should probably.
So we should probably just like chill until at least until the blizzard stops. And then do we just
I
want
mean,
to spend the night here and then just head out in the morning hoping the blizzard is gone?
Ludmilla's still here,
Hmm.
so
Oh, right.
I mean, I don't know where else we would spend the night, but I'm just pointing out that that is a fact.
Somebody roll me 2d4.
I don't have any D4s out.
Gawain, you're muted.
Sorry. 4 total.
4 total.
Ooh.
Thank you. Yeah, the blizzard is still raging outside.
How long do blizzards typically last?
Hours to days.
Days.
Some can. I don't
Sometimes
purport to
weeks.
know Barovian weather patterns.
Misty and Wrist, you guys can both give me nature or survival.
Nature?
Definitely nature.
It's an 8 total.
Ooh.
9.
Yeah, blizzard's hours to days. That's an appropriate time span.
I've been rolling like absolute dog crap tonight, except for that one nat 20.
Right.
Like,
This has been
there goes my luck for the evening.
this session. This y'all never roll like this. You have given me a gift to see single digits for so much of
What
the
do
session.
you mean? I always roll like this!
Collectively. You do always roll like this. Welcome to my life.
Well, okay, so in that case, then we might have to go into the blizzard, but we could. What's an appropriate time to wait before we decide we have to go through this?
Let's at least try for morning.
Are you saying
Busy day,
this?
I could use
You're
some food.
Oh, that was
you're
in
doing this
character.
all
Yeah.
in front of Ludmilla, correct? This isn't like off to the sidebar.
I mean,
We're
I
not
don't know.
necessarily
Where is
hiding
she?
it.
She's in the main. She's with you, and she's joined you on the inside of the main floor.
I don't know if we'd necessarily be like including her, but we would definitely be like in a huddle, maybe like we're not necessarily speaking in code or anything.
We didn't make a space for her in the circle.
No.
Oh,
She tosses over her. Sort of projects over to you guys. Days is a bit of a stretch. The weather on Mount Gakis is ever changing. I'd give it a few hours at the most.
I think
So
if we're
morning it
going to
is.
I was say it's like if we're assuming it's like 4 in the afternoon.
It's like 2.
What's Barovia? That'll still be traveling through dark. So we might as well
Okay.
just choose to camp out.
so we can short rest.
You guys can
Assuming-
absolutely short rest. If
Stealth
you are
bots.
planning to spend the evening, you can long rest, but just let me know what the if that is the plan first.
I thought it made more. I thought what Misty was suggesting and what actually makes sense would be the long rest.
Okay. Sounds good to me.
No, unless you have an argument for the short rest, is all I'm saying.
I don't really.
Hmm.
I just didn't want to assume we were getting a long rest.
Fair.
Also, I really want my spell
I'll take
slots
the
back.
short rest if we get it, just in case.
Yeah, you guys absolutely do get the short rest. But if you want to spend the evening here, you guys can go ahead and long rest, and we can do a little bit of RP with Ludmilla here in the meantime. Because the inside baseball, there won't be anything to interrupt that.
Yeah.
Unless you
Misty's-
do something really wild.
Misty's
Like
entire
feed the
reasoning is that
raisin.
go against Ludmilla. That's Misty's entire reasoning.
Orion is currently eyeballing, like just full staring at Ludmilla, just low guttural growls as it like that like hunting growl they let out when they're in like fucking pounce mode. That sound is just constantly emanating.
DM, can I do a perception check on Ludmilla just to see how she is reacting to Ned? Considering that
To
note we
Ned?
found?
Yes, go for it.
Perception. that sucked. 15.
15. I mean, for the moment, she's sort of off to the side, respecting the space that you guys are creating, not wanting to intrude.
Okay.
With the exception of correcting very faulty information.
Mm-hmm. But she's not making like she is allied with him or anything? No hints of that?
Not at the moment. Oh, gosh. I can't wait to clip this because that's going on YouTube.
It was horrifying for a second.
It's fake.
So funny because like the green screen, like she just appeared behind your shoulder.
It had big Mr. Popo energy, is all I'm saying.
I'll have to show you the clip later. Yeah, no, she almost came in last night, but I was waiting for her. And so tonight I just decided to focus. Plus, we're doing stuff. Because it would be funny for her to scare me. Okay, where did this go? I'm looking for the Salanka Pass, which starts with a T.
So to be clear, we decided to do the long rest, correct?
But yes. So as Orion is sort of like staring her down, she just keeps glancing over at him as she's sort of like just going through and sifting through some of these papers and scraps down here, just trying to keep herself busy. Eventually, as you guys have, there's a lull in the conversation. Gawain, what are the chances that your cat is going to attack?
Without provocation, slim to none.
She glances at him a couple more times. It's like does like a triple take. You're certain?
I mean, as certain as you can be. He's a lion. Sometimes he plays a little rough, but I don't think he would do anything without my say-so.
You see that, well, I mean, he's a lion. It immediately undoes any sort of comfort that she has been taken in what you have been like reassurance. And she is just as anxious as she was when she started, at minimum.
Brand's just being honest.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, this is great. I will confess I have not been here in several years. I assume then that you have given it a thorough inspection, all levels.
Oh, you mean
Yes.
your friend upstairs?
Did you?
This is openly like just face palming.
You did not
No,
resuscitate him. Did okay?
No.
Very good. Very good.
Oh no, we did. He's actually running around like outside, frolicking.
She looks at you and I would have seen him if he was frolicking.
Yeah, of course we didn't do that.
That is. He was not a. He is best left as is in his current state. The best that he sleep. It was He started off with such promise, but then he did not show the Constitution needed to continue the investigation.
And the investigation was for?
Well, to cure this, and she sort of like gestures to herself. I do not wish to be like this any longer.
Even now?
Of course not.
Would
If you've
curing yourself
investi-
not be a betrayal to Strahd?
There are many things in motion. I obviously would wait for the opportune time. And she, like, there's a moment of like, oh no, and she holds up a finger and weaves a sigil in the air, and there's a of just like arcane energy that issues out. It seems it seems like a dispel of some kind, similar to what the statues let loose. It is not always safe to speak freely, especially in these lands, but Lord Strahd is elsewhere at the moment. But just in case, I wanted to ensure that there were no prying eyes. But it is a game of chess, not checkers. It is best to have an advantage and be ready. I won't lie and say that this lineage in this form does not have advantages of its own, but it also has its own drawbacks and disadvantages. I do not wish to do this any longer.
I'm sorry.
So to have an out would be nice.
I'm sorry. I'm still blown away that you want to go. I had two of my guards from my world whose sole purpose was to defend me, be easily swayed to his side. I figured you were all sycophants. And wait, how did he do that? They were so loyal before, and they just dropped me instantly. And why are you sorry, a lot of questions. I don't understand.
He is, Strahd is quite, he has an endless supply of tricks up his sleeve. I'm sure that you have seen how persuasive he can be on cue. It is a derivative of that. There's an element of his natural charm in that way, but also there is a bond that is formed when you sire a new vampire. And he is able to leverage that to his advantage. The reason that I am not brainwashed, as those two are simply that they are not one of his brides, and he does not wish to be wed to a robot or a golem. He enjoys the life of a sentient creature thinking for themselves. But they are soldiers, and he has no use for a thinking soldier.
Would you say you're unwilling to be in the situation you're in?
I only hesitate because it is not I do not wish to be rid of this at all costs. You understand, it is a delicate balance, but given the ideal circumstance, I would absolutely be free of this. So I suppose for the moment it is against my will and my better judgment. Perhaps not better judgment, but against my will. Yes.
Okay, well, have you made any progress on a cure?
I have not been here in decades. It was long before you arrived that I abandoned this post.
So the notes you
Politically.
left are the latest attempts.
Yes. I have had limited success. I have, for lack of a better word, suppressed the... I have come to think of it as a disease, and which has led to the most recent insights. So I have managed to treat it temporarily for a time, but it always comes back. I have been able to withstand magically conjured radiance, as well as all of the stereotypical and classic weaknesses. I no longer required permission to enter a building. Running water was no different to me than any other. I obviously did not test the stake through the heart, as that would have been lethal in either case, but
Understandable.
all of the other weaknesses were suppressed for a time.
But
They have obviously returned along with the rest of the vampiric curse. And she flashes a fanged smile.
I have a question about vampirism.
Of course.
Do you have to subsist on the blood of humans, or would livestock also do?
No. It is... It is humanoid. Regardless of what the specific makeup of your body gestures at to all of you, you are very different, but share a common trait. You are all thinking, feeling, living. And I do not mean corporeally, I mean psychically. It is... I believe it is not the... Or I have come to believe that it is not the blood that sustains a vampire, but it is the life that flows through the blood that is what is drained. Hence the immortality, extended lifespans, because we are not just consuming your fluid, we are consuming your life force.
I'm sorry, it's still weird wording. Okay.
Oh man, I can't wait to see that in the quotes.
Is there a small part of you that hopes anytime outsiders like... Holy shit, it's just me. To come to think of it. Gawain, maybe? I mean, I assume
Ivor,
yes,
like...
I think Gawain
oh yeah,
counts.
Ivor. It's because yeah. Oh, I assume Gawain counts, but I don't even think Gawain knows if he counts. Sorry, go back. Is there a small part of you anytime outsiders like us come that hopes he loses?
It really depends on where whether I am positioned to take advantage of the opportunity. I know that I have time. And I know that I am uniquely capable in this present, with my current affliction of being blessed with infinite time and infinite patience, all things being held equal. So I do not. I wish not to take a side, and I am on my own side, as I have, as I'm sure that you remember and recall the most recent conflicts. I suppose I should apologize. I did not wish ill upon anyone specifically, but we all have our needs, and we all have our part to play. It was imperative that I not betray my hand.
Well, more specifically right now, with this current cycle, what position are you in?
Downward facing dog.
Only if Misty wants her to be.
No, that is Anastasia, and honestly, Valenta, it is. I have no desire for Lord Strahd anymore. It is. I was his first, and I have lost interest. I have positioned others to catch his eye, so that he would leave me to my work.
Valenta and Anastasia?
Valenta less so.
I really suppose it just seems like, with everything you've told us, you wouldn't be too upset if we did succeed.
I suppose not. My instinct is to give a neutral answer that is neither here nor there, but I suppose my actions do betray my true intent, and reveal it to myself in a way.
Your words are for your own safety, but your actions kind of tell us your true intentions.
I suppose that seeing you here, and assuming correctly that you have great interest, or perhaps not great interest, but interest in the work that I had pursued, perhaps a new, fresh eyes would serve the research well. And perhaps that gives me hope that I might finally be rid of this.
I turn towards Riss as she says that. I'm like, I'm a geek, not a nerd, but someone over there.
You would be okay with someone else continuing your research?
But of course, I have hit a number of dead ends, but that does not mean that I believe it is impossible. As I said, time is no object for me, so I conduct these experiments over the course of decades rather than your timetable.
And you would be okay knowing that I would absolutely be weaponizing anything I found against Strahd?
Of course. There's no love lost between him and I. He captured my eye when I was young, and I captured his when I was young. But I have grown tired of this life, and I wish to see it come to its natural conclusion. I wish to pass on and experience what is after. And I suppose, now that I say that, that requires that this be brought to an end, and she sort of gestures in the air broadly.
True. Don't recommend dying with this. But I will let you know if I am able to complete it. Or something. I make no promises. I know you were focusing on alchemy. I'm not specifically an alchemist, but I think there is something magically inclined in whatever this curse is, this sickness. So I think I might be able to bring at least something to the table.
We ought to establish a way to remain in contact
Did you have
more
something in
regularly.
mind?
A very long time ago, I took a lover of my own. Very long time ago, I had thought I had outsmarted Lord Strahd, and I, as I'm sure you can assume, I had not. He enjoyed the cat and mouse, but
As he does.
as he does. There was an old code that we would use to try to keep things discreet. I will write it down for you.
Strahd doesn't know it.
Oh, he does, but given his current circumstance, he may be less inclined to be worried of such small matters. And with any luck, he will merely suspect it as another lover of mine.
If you think that is good, then
I wish to be involved.
Rest you're taking on a lover.
no.
But as a
I've
joke,
already- I've already
See-
done that kind of.
You thought it was going to be the sorcerer or the paladin that was horny this campaign. Nope, it's the wizard.
The dead wizard.
to be fair, the sorcerer and paladin have a lot on their mind during this campaign. Oh, what? Anyway, Ludmilla, you're not, and actually speaking and meeting you, you're not what I expected. When you're not shooting magic and countering my spells, you almost seem normal.
I had lost myself for a time to these dark urges and these dark lusts, but it has been through great sacrifice that I have found myself again.
Can I ask why you're sharing all of this with us? I mean, it just seems like it would endanger you.
Perhaps I am emboldened by Strahd's disappearance. Perhaps that is a sign that it is a sign of the times, that it is time to move and continue and push forward. Now is the time to strike. I have waited for hundreds of years for the opportune moment, and it may now finally be upon us. We have the rare opportunity to set things in place before he can see, and so he will be reacting rather than countering our every move.
I assume you knew this when I asked, but that was partially why I wanted to go to his castle. I suppose there are several reasons. You're not stupid, so I'm sure you knew. How much pointing of the right direction could you give us for preparations prior to the summoning we kind of have to do to bring him back?
Preparations in what way? How do you mean?
Well, obviously we have to, seeing how the world is going, well, this one specifically, we do need to bring him back. You're aware of our goals. We're aware of yours. Or as much as you shared, obviously. I'm sure you're holding more towards your chest as is your nature, and you probably should. But it seems like if we need to bring him back here, and our goals somewhat align, you may be aware of things that can be done while he's away that will put us in an advantageous position once he is returned.
You are correct. There are many, as I was the original. I was his first bride. There is much that you have yet to learn about Lord Strahd. He is not old. He is not merely... Everything about him is not intrinsic. He has acquired many skills over many lifetimes here in Barovia. Which we can discuss if that is what you want to, if that is your focus. But there is a great deal of poisoning that this tyrant is willing to subject himself to, if only for the sake of his hubris. But perhaps if you have stripped him of all but his most inner power, then he will be on the back foot rather than pursuing you. And you may pursue him.
How do we go about doing that?
Are you familiar with the Thanes of Barovia? The forest, the mountain, and the swamp.
I'm gonna say no. This is actually out of character. I'm gonna say no.
Am I?
Um,
Are we?
I am.
yes. So,
Thanks, Misty.
let me see. Riss, you were with them when they encountered the most recent trip to the... Yeah, you were there with the most recent trip to the Keepers of the Fang.
Yeah.
You would recall on the way up, you found a overgrown and forgotten shrine in the forest.
Yes, I do remember that.
That was to one of the forest Fane.
I remember that, yes.
But she will continue. These are... They were the gods of the land long before this land was settled, and then conquered and reconquered and reconquered, until eventually Strahd von Zarovich conquered it himself. And we all know what happened after that. But long before these Fanes were all but forgotten, even in his human lifetime. Ancient orders of druids worshipped them in centuries past, eons past at this point. And yet they did not subsist on the worship. They were not divine in that way. They were far more
Fae.
intrinsic. What was that?
They're far more Fae.
Yes, that is the technical term. Yes, they have a tie to other planes of existence and other sources of power. Strahd, one by one, systematically corrupted them and stole their power. He can summon the very mountains, the winds, the storms, but only because he has consumed these Fanes and cannibalize their power for himself. If you are able to reconsecrate their shrines, then you will strip him of these powers that he has assembled, leave him much more vulnerable. You will not be the first to do so, but it will give you a fighting chance. As he is now, it is impossible.
All I know is
I suspect you have encountered
Oh.
this.
All I know is that ring of stones across from Brez. Lise has always told me that it's a really bad place and I should never go there.
How do we go about reconsecrating Fey, I suppose, worship spots?
Hey, can I make an insight check, DM?
Yes, what for?
When Misty said lease, did Ludmilla like recognize the name at all?
Yes, you may. Go ahead and roll. But to answer
16.
your 16, okay, to answer your question, Ned, I do not know what the rites and rituals are. He has boasted many times that he has consumed them, and that he has desecrated, but I do not know what it means to reconsecrate, to rehallow, perhaps. With 16, she is it's a fleeting look of who? That is immediately wiped off her face at the mention of Lise.
Mm. Okay.
Would you permit me to ask you 2 questions about the castle?
Of course.
The first one is the Mad Dog's crypt. Is that located in the castle?
Yes. Mad Dog is interred in the catacombs beneath.
Would that be something we could potentially get to, supervision or not, during our trip to the castle?
Of course. It is deep in the lowest levels. There is it is where it is in the same area where Strahd keeps his resting place.
How would we get there?
It is a maze. But there are back ways around, secret passages everywhere.
Understood. Secondly, as you're very well aware, we kind of did do some exploring during our last time there. Clearly did not go well for us.
I was
But
going to say.
we stumbled upon a giant glowing thing on one of the towers. It appeared to make beating sounds like a heart.
It is.
I was trying to make an assumption that somehow is controlling Barovia, but I don't know. What is that?
It is. Are you familiar with Argynvast cult? And the silver dragon Argynvast?
Surprisingly, yes.
She seems mildly impressed. After his defeat, Strahd desecrated his corpse, cut out his heart, and has used it ever since to his own ill effect. It serves as protection
From?
for any sort of attempt on him. Have you noticed a barrier when fighting him? A invisible force that absorbs your blows without touching him.
Yes, it is rather annoying.
That is the heart. It is always connected to him, and will protect him with its own essence. It regenerates at the beginning of every day. So he is careful to take care of it. It is important to him.
So if we were to destroy that,
It would peel him out of one of his layers of armor. One
Like
less
the amulet.
protection.
Does it work like the amulet? Do it do enough damage to it and it will break, or do we have to target it specifically?
You can brute force through it with him in front of you. It will eat blow after blow, but eventually it will come to the end of its pull. He is careful to disconnect himself before it is expended. For once used up, it does not return until he restarts the next cycle.
so let's say on our next trip there, one of us who carries a really, really large weapon strikes at that, I suppose, dragon's heart. Well, firstly, would it be so simple as doing that? And secondly, would that effectively cut off that power?
It would also draw his attention immediately to attack it directly is far too tactical for him to ignore. So if you needed to force him into a course of action, that might be one way to do it. It makes too much sense to let it go.
So can we just skip, if what you're saying is true, do you mean we could just skip this whole summoning thing, attack the heart, and he'll appear?
Oh, no. I meant only he will know if you target it if you damage it, and he will hunt you down. With him wherever he is now,
Does he have
wonder.
the heart on him, or is it still here?
No, it is still in the tower.
What I'm
So we're
saying
going to-
is, yeah, sorry,
Yeah,
go ahead,
sorry.
Gawain. No, Gawain, go ahead.
I was going to say I believe what Ned was saying was if we want him to appear, why don't we just go kick the crap out of the heart and just wait for him to come back and defend it?
Ludmilla was saying that he is currently potentially unable to return. Whatever took him away was of mass magical capabilities.
I mean, I suppose I do not know what method he would use to arrive, if that is capable of traversing the distance he is at the moment. I merely meant to inform you that if you were to face him on his turf, in the castle, and you were to attack his heart, he would come for you. It would not be so easy to just eliminate it from the equation. That would immediately draw his attention.
Would it immediately draw his attention if we destroyed it before he came back?
That's where I was going with this.
That's kind of my point as well.
I
I do not
mean,
know.
We figure out a way to summon him.
Because most bonds or connections or anything, unless is extremely, extremely magically powerful, and I honestly haven't heard of anything that actually traverses planes like that. Once you hop, once you hop a plane, everything you're connected to either goes with you or that connection is broken. So theoretically, obviously we can't prove this, so take all of my words with a fucking grain of salt. But theoretically, if we were to attack it now and destroy it, he would have no idea until he got back.
And he would be weaker when he came back.
And he would be very weak when he came back.
Well, I'm glad I'm not
And
the
we
only one doing this train of thought.
I wouldn't
and
say
we would
very.
well, it would be a line of defense that we wouldn't have to fight every single time we fight him in the future. It would
That
be
is correct.
one less thing that we would have to proverbially screw around with.
I mean, all things considered, we need to figure out, obviously, how to bring him back because this world's going to hell. But if we could figure that out, and before actually doing it, stack the cards in our favor as much as possible. You know, bring those fey powers off of him and potentially get him rid of the heart. It's certainly something.
It's that hard.
Yes, this is the one that you
this
guys
this is the one in the
in
tower.
the tower, the crystal heart that had the
Yeah,
flying
that's what I was
Mhm.
referencing.
Yeah,
halberds.
okay.
Yes,
Mhm.
that is this heart.
I was slow on the uptake. Don't mind me.
Right. I mean, you're going along the right path regardless, which is I want to destroy this before resummoning him, because that just makes sense.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
We'll
Yep.
never have a better chance to take
Did
it
we
down.
And I
attempt
already
to
gave us
attack
some.
the heart at all when we were there? I
Mm-mm.
don't think so, right? We
No.
just
What did
kind
Yana
of.
do?
Yeah, I'm surprised Yana didn't. Why didn't
Well,
we do
we got
that?
attacked
Because we immediately got
by the floating
glaives.
swords or the glaives, yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
that they were the.
Oh, right, that. Yeah.
Yep. And
Okay,
then
well,
we
we can use
just
range.
decided to get out.
Well, we can do ranged attacks. Gawain can
See?
throw a spear or a javelin. I mean. Um.
I wonder if it has any. I wonder what kind of defenses are around that heart. Aside from the animated weapons.
It came from a dragon, so I suppose I would expect something.
What's Silver Dragon?
Cold.
Do you know what it would, if it would be resistant to anything or vulnerable to anything?
I would not. That is not something that I have concerned myself with.
I would assume any defenses would either be hereditary from the dragon it came from, so whatever silver dragons are immune slash resistant or whatever to. But I would also imagine there are some magical protections that have been placed upon the heart because it is a giant fucking heart. It can't really do much to protect itself. So I would assume Strahd has at least done something to make sure that it is, aside from the glaives, whether that be magical shields or
It's. I'm sure you encountered the shaking tower. That was its doing.
yes.
Hmm. Well, we certainly have a lot more leads than before. A lot to think about.
One other question. What would be the easiest and quickest way to get to the heart?
If you can fly, coming at it from above, through the down into the in onto its level, that would be the most direct way. There are no special wards that would preclude that.
Well, I
And
mean,
on
we
a
made it all the
metal.
way to the top of the tower, so you know.
Oh, if you want a faster way, of course.
Could we teleport straight into it if that were an option?
Perhaps.
There's nothing wording against it. That's what I'm asking.
I do not recall.
Interesting. I was able to use magic for the entire time we were in the tower.
Oh yes. Oh yes, yes, yes. It is. I was attempting to recall if there was any sort of teleportation wards on the castle itself.
Mm.
The heart specifically would not have anything of that nature.
Something just dawned on me. Strahd is a lord, a noble, in a
Yes.
castle. Does he have a treasury? Or an armory? Like, does he have weapons that he's taken and hidden that we might be able to use against him?
If he keeps a vault, it is not in the castle, as far as I am aware. I have heard. Actually, let me roll for this. Nope, just kidding. I have not concerned myself with the intricacies of his games for many cycles.
You've lived in that castle for how many hundreds of years, and I would feel like after about 10 years you would know every square inch of it.
I am not. I am only permitted in so many areas.
It's Strahd. I don't believe that man truly trusts anyone. Especially not after
No.
what happened before he became a vampire. I mean, we all saw it.
It is. He is a master of tactics and planning and execution. Any advantage he will hold on to until it is advantageous to disclose.
All right. Well, it was just a thought.
Very enlightening conversation.
I mean, it would not be surprising if he did, but if he has one, it is not something that I have been notified of.
I'm going to actually. I'm just going to look at Ludmilla and just say, would you mind giving us a moment?
And of course, I will. It would do me good to take inventory of the upper levels and see what is become of this workshop.
As she goes while she's still within earshot to Gawain in a joking manner. Damn, Gawain, it's really bold to ask someone to step away in their own home.
And instead of step, she takes one step onto the lowest step of the stairs, and just into a cloud of bats, and just heads
Ah,
up.
Oh, yes, a random thought I had earlier when you said something, Nedro. You said take this out with two birds with one stone. I don't think I've seen a plethora of birds, but I have seen a plethora of bats here.
I'm fine adjusting the idiom to bats in this case. Seems appropriate. That being said, that was unexpected, but very helpful.
Timmy, it's time to talk about the bats and the bees.
That was extremely helpful.
Um,
Also, I'm
I
glad
have
that she's not going to attempt to murder me for taking her notes.
Wait, really quick question. Did she ever give us the word for Riss for them to stay in communication?
No. That may be what she is going to prepare.
Oh, okay, cool.
Chris definitely wants to have a conversation about that as well, but like that does not need to happen right now. Chris has some ideas of making the code better.
I have a
But don't mind
question
me.
for I have a question for everyone now that Ludmilla is gone. Do we want to attempt to use this time in the castle to free Yana?
I assumed that was a given.
Before we even get there, we still need to get more powerful. I still cannot cast that spell.
I mean, you're correct, but
I'm not saying it can't happen before we get there, but like we are on a fucking time limit. If we get, absolutely we should do it if we have the power to do it before Strahd comes back. Because it will make our lives 10,000 times easier to do that before Strahd comes back.
no, I get it. I just be really frustrated if we get there and we still can't do it, and she's right there.
And she's right there.
That being said, we still need to get to the top of this mountain, collect and figure out what we have there. See if somehow it's connected to the bullshit of resummoning this guy that we don't want to summon, but we kind of have to. But on the bright side, we have several things we can prepare before we summon the bullshit. Potentially. I mean, I don't think we can reconsecrate all these places and destroy the heart beforehand. But I guess that really depends on if and when we find the means of bringing them back.
I should also. DM, I have a question.
Yes.
How familiar would Riss be with like consecrating and hallowing places?
They
And
read it
like,
in books. They know everything.
Give me a religion check.
okay. Oh, I'm proficient.
This was
Great.
actually their major in college.
Right.
Yes, that's great.
I always love it when the wizard is better at religion than the fucking paladin or cleric, like by
Well,
far.
I mean, the paladin technically doesn't have to be
Someone
religious.
should give me
It's
like
true.
inspiration or something.
Bardic
And the new
inspiration.
cleric now can take expertise
God,
in
what is
religion
it, a
if they want to.
D6?
D6.
Fuck. Okay, I'll take it. That's a
Nat
13 total.
Nat 20. I heard them say it.
If you took the 0 away, you would get it right. Another fucking 2. Why do my dice hate me?
You're on a 13. You're familiar with the term, and it's a it's a fairly unique process. It's very much like it's all you also are familiar with, like it's similar to curses. Curses at the base level are sort of addressable through arcane means, but as you step up into anything more advanced, more specific, more sophisticated, um, there is often a ritual associated with it, which includes the casting of some sort of dispel or remove curse. Same thing here. To reconsecrate would be specific. It would be desecrated in a very specific way. Let me walk that back. It would have been desecrated, and then to reconsecrate would need to address each aspect of the desecration specifically.
Right. I was thinking more because we're consecrating places. I was thinking more, sorry. I zoned out a little bit during that conversation, so I don't know exactly what we're aiming for with that process. But would Riz specifically know that it like bars creature types?
This is less of a hallow and more of a
Okay.
restitution.
Okay, cool. Never mind then. Because I was like, oh, if we're gonna go around hollowing places, like that's gonna be an issue because if we're trying to keep Strahd out of something, it's gonna keep Riss out of it too.
Um, do you think the abbot would know how to reconsecrate this specifically?
What all are we trying to consecrate?
So, Mila mentioned that there were these Thanes. They seem to have Fey-based powers, and Strahd apparently took their powers by consuming it or something. And that's how he's able to control things like the weather, create storms, those kind of things.
Oh,
The
so
idea being if we reconsecrate these areas, he would lose those abilities.
we would need to find all of the wasn't the temple that we saw or the not the temple, the shrine that we saw, wasn't it desecrated? Like I don't know if we looked in that term specifically, but it was bad, right?
It was certainly defaced and derelict.
I did not take good notes about it. I found it in my notes and I did not take good enough notes about it.
It did not seem corrupted intentionally, but it did seem forgotten and left to rot. You get the sense that that was probably a more personal shrine rather than um, the main site of power for the Forest Fane.
Uh, Gawain, do you think? I mean, I don't know that Fey magic follows under the same rules as whatever the abbot does, but do you feel like he could reconsecrate these areas?
Would I have any knowledge of his magical capabilities? Because I know he can do resurrections and he can obviously cast some form of illusion to give himself the glamour of the abbot. Um,
I mean, his specific power set would be you were as unfamiliar with it as everybody else. Um, you really don't have any memory or recollection of him beyond what he's told you and what you've experienced here in Barovia.
mm,
Huh.
okay. Hmm. Um, I don't. I honestly have no idea if he's capable of doing such things, but if there is a person who is capable of doing it, I think he is one of the better bets. And I have a feeling even if he doesn't know how to do it, he might know who can.
Very true.
And with a natural 20 on sleight of hand, I slip a small piece of paper into Riss's hand.
Yeah, that'll beat everybody.
Let me check
don't
my
know.
DMs.
No, that beats passive. This is definitely a passive check.
Yeah, it's a natural 20 plus 6, so
It only beats my passive twice.
That wouldn't have beat Orm's passive. That's wild to think. But it's a nat 20, so.
yep.
Do we know what temple we're heading to? Like I know we've
So,
heard like sun gods, but how? Okay, let's just how crazy is it? that we're heading to one of the Fanes' temple as we speak. Right? That there was the forests, there was
The
the
mountain
mountain,
and swamp.
the swamp. Well, don't we happen to be heading to a temple that is on a mountain that we know predates Strahd?
It is quite a coincidence.
To be honest, I don't really know anything about this temple. I avoided it like the plague.
Hold on. Ned would be familiar after just being in this area of Lathander already, correct?
With yes.
Lathander. It's like, I kind of just assumed the sun god meant Lathander, but maybe it's not then.
I don't know. Is there in Barovia's like history? Because I know the Fanes were treated as gods pre-Strahd, right? Like they were kind of treated as the deities. Were there any actual deities? Like was there any actual like religions or like did anyone actually follow like Lathander and whatnot?
Yeah,
Okay.
the standard 5th edition Pantheon was brought in with the some of the original settlers
Okay.
long before Strahd came in, and Strahd himself brought along priests and priestesses of Lathander and well, however you say his other name, our Munator,
Okay.
Oh, right. That's his other persona.
a Monitor, which
That's
is
his old name, right?
Yes, the old name. That is the flavor of religious iconography that you've seen here, both with Father Donovich in Barovia and in the church in Vallaki.
Right. Okay.
I think
Sorry,
Donovich
I was
in
just like,
Denver. Anyway.
are we talking about gods and were gods always the Fanes? But that is not the case, so ignore me.
Correct. Yeah, no, this was the Fanes were effectively the pagan gods before organized religion came in, and then Strahd conquered after that. But on that note, do we want to go ahead and take a quick break? Because it is just a little bit after 10, so a little bit after halfway. Let's take a quick 15, and we'll be back here 25 after.
Sounds
All right.
good.
Okay.
All right, so thanks everyone for watching. We'll catch you in just a couple of minutes. Hey, good to see you again. Hey there. Um, Now I'm thinking about the am I speaking Zemnian of tongues with Jester and anyway. Welcome back. We left off with a big ol' lore dump in the first half of the session from Ludmilla, who seems to be rather ambivalent towards Strahd. Not really interested in playing his game, and is ready to be done with being a vampire, and sees this party and this moment where he's missing as a golden opportunity to really figure out, okay, how do we cure this, and how do we get rid of him? Because if I cure myself before he's taken care of, he's probably gonna kill me, or he's just gonna turn me again and make me suffer. Or if they kill Strahd and she's still a vampire, then that may have its own deleterious consequences. However, she is very interested in curing this condition, and is probably gonna end up working with Rissa a fair amount to compare notes and see what they can do. You guys discussed. She also gave you guys a little bit of a inside baseball on where Strahd's power comes from, how to undo some of those power-ups, and where some things may be found, what some things are, how they work, here and there, not everything, but some things. So, as we zoom back in, you guys have been having she had stepped out, and you guys are having a conversation of, okay, what's our next play? As you are part way to what is referred to as some sort of temple up here in the mountains. Currently waiting out the blizzard that is raging outside.
For weeks.
For weeks, yes.
I have a random question.
Mm-hmm.
Does anyone in the party have leatherworkers tools proficiency?
I could temporarily have them. Why?
Ooh.
Because I have a bunch of direwolf pelts that need to be tanned.
Does it need now?
Not time.
I mean, it could happen now. Did I prepare that spell? One moment. I might
I
not
just
have
figured-
prepared the spell.
I would
Is
just
it
want to kind of
ritual
want to make
castable?
them into cold weather clothing.
So you said they need tanned or they need fabricated?
I don't know. I don't know actually. Do they need tanned?
I don't think that you guys. I think you stuck it in the bag of holding, saying there's no air. They will wait for us to
That
take care of.
That sounds accurate.
Yeah, that sounds like us.
It is not prepared, but I could prepare it tomorrow
Okay.
or whenever we next have a moment, and I just need to know.
It's okay. We can just give it to Yvonne and Alice when we get to Vallaki next.
Oh yeah, we are
But
doing
no,
that.
yes, I can cast borrowed knowledge, and it'll give me the proficiency
It's
And
cool.
I wish that was ritual.
for like an hour, so you know, second level spell. But no, yeah, it is not ritual cast, unfortunately. I wish it was. That would make my life easier, but
That'd be way cooler.
no.
Yeah, well, you get memorized spell soon.
Soon.
But not soon enough.
I feel targeted.
Oh, you should be. I'm targeting you.
Oh, I know.
I don't think he's created my subclass yet, so
That's really what we're waiting on.
yeah.
It's mostly that I like getting you shit because it's fun
Oh.
for me. So the
I
only
enjoy-
downside to switching is that I won't be able to give you shit about this anymore.
I enjoy feeding it of like reacting to you. This is a lot of fun too. Yes. So, excuse me. The afternoon wears into the evening. Over the course of the next couple of hours, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock rock. Toward about 6, which is really only trackable because of how you guys have Gawain stand up against a tape measure, and you're like, it's about 6 o'clock. The blizzard begins to blow over and finally settles out into just a peaceful dusting. But it's about 6 o'clock in the afternoon, in the evening.
So that technically has not been long rest time, though.
Technically, no. If you guys had anything you wanted to do, but otherwise we can fast forward to the next morning if there was no other conversations or anything that you wanted to do.
I have a couple oh, sorry, go ahead, Casey.
No. I was actually going to ask. You were answering.
Okay, I have a couple conversations, but sorry, I'm in the middle of writing something down. But no, okay, first I think Riss would try to seek out Ludmilla to get the code. And we don't have to super necessarily roleplay it, but Riss would basically just provide a couple like tips and like look at the code and see if it's like they have a couple ideas of how like changing it enough that like Strahd won't at least immediately recognize it. Either I'm assuming it's letters, like symbols for each letter or something of that nature.
It's a bit of a cipher, yeah.
So Riss would basically like let's shift the letters 5 down so that like it reads a little bit as gibberish, but like we would know, and then potentially even because that's not super like that's enough to throw him off, but if he like really starts digging into it, it'll be pretty obvious. Throwing in a like enough of a like random letters or random words and like, you know, come up with like a key of like something that like we would know. So it's like almost potentially like, hey, read the first letter of every third word and to get
Mm-hmm.
the actual message and like, oh, Risk can actually just like make it seem like they are just lovers' notes.
This is great.
But
Ludmilla's
like
all about it.
Cheating on me already, I see.
Listen, Ludmilla is open to all possibilities.
the rest would be very obvious they're not actually lovers' notes, that they're playing into this like thing so that Ludmilla's not found out, because at this point Risk does not want Ludmilla to die.
Oh my gosh, Homegirl is so tired of Dick. She's ready for something else.
Aren't we all?
Well, to be fair, she's tired of one specific dick, I think.
Yes.
But that too.
She's turned off to the whole gambit for a while.
She should be.
Just reiterates that they're taken. Kind of, probably. They're saying they're taken.
It's sort of like a half disappointment, half we'll see, half I get it. It's half disappointment, half we'll see about that, and half okay.
Is Ludmilla gonna have a cat fight with Misty?
Risk has never had this much attention on them, and they don't know what to do with it. Like they're like beat red for the entire conversation. Like
If this happens a third time, we're just gonna have to name ourselves Riss's bitches.
And we haven't done that already because?
please no, please. It's so funny because the only reason Yana wasn't is because Yana had a girlfriend. Like.
Pretty great. I'm here for it. But yes, you guys set up the cipher in the code. She also presents you with what she describes as linked bags, and basically you put some sort of writing or parchment or some sort of notes or some sort of writing, a book, something small in there, and you close it. It's sort of like a very small bag of holding that two people have access to, from two different points. So you could put something in there and she could retrieve it, and then she could put something in there and you could retrieve it, and it could be effectively like passing notes real time. If you
Okay.
both were sitting down like that, it just wouldn't be there would be no verbal communication.
Okay. Okay.
You've got mail.
Just say,
There,
and it
there's
like notifies us when there's a new.
yeah, there's two eyes right by the clasp, and they just bong 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 when there's an unread message.
No attunement necessary, right?
Correct. Or no, it flashes a number of times per, like, in a row equal to the unread messages. So like if there's 8, it's like wah 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 wah. No, I'm just kidding.
She's gonna send
It
someone
works.
to an epileptic fit.
It's similar to the alarm spell where you get a like there's like a ping telepathically when there's something delivered.
And it's just like a bag, you said?
Yeah, it's sort of like a shoulder across the shoulder.
Okay. So it's just like, cool, cool, cool.
What's it called?
Linked bags. It's not a real thing. I just made it up.
Okay.
Would you call them messenger bags?
A
You can have inspiration for that one. That was good.
Ah. Wait, can I bank these? Because I technically have 2.
I should have thought of that.
Right. Third.
I will say,
Inspiration.
I don't know when this needs to happen per se. It doesn't need to happen right away, but like probably tonight when Riss is not actually sleeping, they will do their best to memorize the code because they will burn the paper before they leave the tower. Because we don't leave that shit lying around.
Oh no.
Roll me 4d20s individually.
Okay. Individually. Oh boy. Am I adding anything to these d20s or just d20s?
Just d20s.
Okay, that's a 12. That's an add 20.
A
Yay.
That's a 5. And then the last one is a 6. There goes the luck. They're like, oh, you rolled good twice, so you can go back to single digits now. Very nice twice. I was like, okay, thanks.
You also give me a intelligence check for memorizing.
Cool. Just flat.
Yes, please.
That's a dirty 20.
Easy enough to do.
Blah, 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 blah. Okay, sorry. I am in the middle of my taking notes. If someone else has something else to do, I do want to have a conversation with Fiona before we leave, but
Of course.
I need to write for a minute.
Is there any semblance of a hearth or anything like that in this place? Cool. I'm just gonna do a bunch of baking.
Lighten it up. Okay. Heating up the tower. Yep, absolutely. Just do a bunch of baking. I love it. Anything in particular?
I would ask what the season is in Barovia, but it's always pretty fucking gloomy, so I don't know if it matters.
Perpetual fall.
Mhm.
So
Thought
it's
it was
always
winter.
peach season is what I'm hearing.
Well, when
Um,
Gawain's walking around, you know.
Clank, clank, am I right?
Uh, um, I'll just go ahead and make everyone like a really nice it's almost, it's got like the flavors of a peach cobbler, but it's actually just a pie, just a peach pie. Um, but it's got like the caramel kind of inside that you get with a peach cobbler. Um, yeah, I just make that for everyone, and then I probably make just like some hand pies with the excess peaches, just to be able to like have so everyone can have little like treats later.
Sounds good.
And just for shits and gigs, I'm gonna roll for it. You gotta stay on the thing.
And have a bardic
Doesn't
inspiration
doesn't
because Misty's going to be there playing some music.
Okay. What's that? D6? D8?
D6. D6.
Okay. Okay. That is what, just a wisdom check? If I remember correctly.
I'm sorry, one more time.
Wisdom check?
Yeah.
That would be, Jesus Christ, I can do math, I swear. 25. Thanks to the bardic.
Thanks to the bardic. Very nice. Yes. 25 it is the coziest of just cobbled together outdoor cooking. And it raises everyone's spirits. There's a lot of stress. There's a lot of, do we have to rescue our arch nemesis? There's a lot of betrayal and all of this in the air, and it soothes to have this dessert. The smell of this dessert wafting around. It calls back memories of each of you guys too. Simpler times, quieter times, safer times, when perhaps some of you were children running around, rugrats running around a house, and the smell of dinner cooking just brings a sense of comfort that there is someone out there taking care and looking out for you. But with that, as the smell wafts upstairs, Ludmilla descends in her humanoid form this time. Just a bunch of rats just flood down the stairs and eat the whole... No, I'm kidding. Ludmilla steps down and joins you guys down on the bottom floor. I couldn't help but smell whatever it is you're cooking, and it smells fantastic.
Yes, please sit.
I know I shouldn't, but I can't help myself.
No,
And
Gawain's cooking is very worth it. I do recommend.
And she joins you guys. Sort of like in the vicinity, but definitely not inserting herself in the middle of everything. Just sort of like leaving a little bit of like a respectful distance. Maybe like 2 or 3 chair widths rather than like just like every other or something.
Hmm.
And as she comes down and sits with us, both Misty and Cassie are just going to give her the evil stare.
She looks back amused.
Doesn't deter me.
Blushing, just like
She
leans over and like whispers, "It's like, please stop."
she stares at you over her glass and just sort of like smirks at you as she takes a sip and sets it down. But the evening wears on. Everyone give me a perception check.
Naughty 20.
Hey.
16.
13.
8.
16 and no, I did 20. Let me find this. Where did I put it?
Your left pocket?
No, that's not there. I don't think I wrote down the number. I believe Misty, you are the only one who catches this. There's a bird cry on the night air, just like this predatory screech of a hawk or an eagle or something of that nature, a large bird of prey, echoing on the night air. It's very faint, but you clock it. And it stands out because, as was noted, there are not many birds here in Barovia, especially up in this area.
Mm-hmm. So I don't know if any of the rest of you heard that, but I think we might definitely want to wait until daylight before heading out. I'd hate to be the unwilling prey of something that can see us but we can't see.
Gawain is currently, he had just thought of, I should make whipped cream for this pie and cobbler. And so he's burning a first level spell slot to cast, what was his first level? It's his like gravity bomb, but he's just using it like a fucking Rasengan to just fucking whisk the cream in an instant. Yes, that's probably a good idea.
As just like little bits fly out and like hit him in the beard. But Ludmilla stays down with you for the entirety of the meal, and she picks at her food more than anything, but she does nibble little bits here and there. She probably ends up eating about half of it. It's not easy to go down, but she seems to be enjoying it because she doesn't stop eating until the end of the collective meal. Everyone is sort of done, and she is ready to. She hands her plate in.
That was like a vampire getting seconds.
Basically.
Riss also indulges the meal. Undead solidarity.
The stare continues.
You see the look
Also,
of regret on her face of like, she's gonna feel this in 4 hours.
Like someone with celiac staring down a cheeseburger.
Mm-hmm.
I can't say no, but I can't. I shouldn't let myself do it.
All the better reason.
But yes,
but no,
oh
sorry.
goodness. Go ahead.
I just want to let everyone know that the note Misty gave me just spawned about a page of questions, I think, in my notes.
Yay.
I wrote them all down because I'm not gonna get to ask them right away, so I wanted to remember them all.
Well. Ah, boy, you are a joy to have in the party. Let me
Sorry,
say.
I needed a moment to process. But no.
And I mean that sincerely.
After dinner is over, Riz would probably look over at Ludmilla and ask, like, do you mind if I took Misty up to the top level for a little bit? I would like to have a conversation.
Do you mean
Not the roof.
the laboratory?
Yes, yeah.
Of course.
Just, for some privacy.
But before you go, what happened to my glyph?
Oh, I had Ned dispel it. I didn't know what it did, and I didn't want to take unnecessary damage or anything.
Ned will be just waving and smiling. Hi. You did counterspell me once.
It's fine. It'll be fine.
Apologies.
It's it'll be fine.
I just when they're out of earshot, Nedro will just to Gawain. Hey, can I talk to you about something? And that conversation can happen after theirs.
Oh God. Okay.
Oh, goody.
Cool.
Cassie, keep an eye on her. And we'll head up.
Oh, great. Another
Uh,
pussy staring her down.
I'd have it no other way.
Another
This,
large pussy staring her down.
Jeez. God, I hate all of you.
This one's slightly less hairy than the original, than the first one.
So
All
I
right, I'll
kind
stop.
of
Carry on.
drag Fiona up to the top level. Uh, sorry, I wanted to we haven't had a chance to talk really since, you know.
It's been a bit of a
Um,
day.
that's a little bit of an understatement, but first I wanted to say thank you for this, and I hold up the note. I have a lot of questions, but I don't want to put you in a position with lease and or anything. I don't want to compromise you. I will save my questions for after we get to the temple at Mount Kakis. If I think you can provide answers there, maybe we can have another conversation then. But specifically about this, about the notes.
It's reasonable.
Also, don't want to have to explain knowledge I didn't know before and where I got it, and we'll figure it out.
I just wanted to make sure somebody knew it, because still don't trust the boys, but I'll do anything to protect you.
Well, thank you. I do appreciate it. And know that I won't, of course, I would never do anything. I would never use this information against you. You know, I guess. I guess I wanted to talk a little bit about earlier, not the conversation specifically, but
About your note?
I don't know, it was yes, that, but also I'm sorry if the kiss was bad. I've never really done that before.
It's actually
Um,
rather sweet.
no, you are the sweet one in this relationship.
Oh, yeah, I've performed a lot of emotions, gotten pretty good at them, but it wasn't until I met you that they actually became real. But
Yeah?
yeah, the
I
the,
don't,
the conversation we had earlier, don't have to worry. It didn't hurt my feelings.
well, that's good. I didn't want to hurt your feelings. So I guess I just wanted to say I forget how much you know about me. and my situation, I guess. Uh, how I came to be.
Well, I know bits and pieces, mainly from what you've told me. Uh, I've run into one or two others that have been kind of in your similar situation, with having a soul in their body that's not supposed to belong to that body originally. Kind of a common occurrence here in Barovia. But
True. Especially with the recycling of souls and
exactly.
but no, I wanted to say thank you, and I'll eventually say thank you to the rest of everyone as well. But I think you were the tipping points before they crashed through my roof. I was just kind of drifting. I never really. It wasn't my life. I think that there was a part of me that just believed that I was living in Amaris's stead, and I was convincing myself to be Amaris for everyone else, and I didn't really do much for me. I mean, I studied magic, and I've done my best to learn as much as I can about Barovia and magic, and figure out not necessarily who I am, but what happened and why I'm here, and what kinds of magic could have done this, and all of those questions. But that was the extent of what I did. I never really gave myself time to even want something like this. And now you're here and there downstairs, and I don't think I could do anything else other than adventure with them and with you and try to stop and just keep learning. And life is so much more now, you know? And I've come to realize that I suddenly really don't want to die.
Well, it's a good thing, because I don't want you to die either.
Well, I would hope so.
Heck, if
But
I
no, I just wanted to say thank you for showing me what life could be and can be
trust me,
and
it's
is.
entirely my pleasure.
And they'll just kind of like lean in and give like another little kiss.
She'll take the little kiss and add a little more. But if I had it my way, I'd take you away from all of this. Just go hide away somewhere, just you and I.
Mm.
I've been alone most of my life. Ma and Pa passed away when I was just a wee thing. The closest thing I ever knew to a mother was Lise. And I guess I kind of drifted for most of my life, just doing things that were kind of expected of me. I mean, I always enjoyed performing and playing music and telling stories, so I just kind of went with that as my main focus. I mean, Lise would have me do odd jobs here and there, send messages, collect debts, things like that. But I never really gave her much mind. But truth be told, she always kind of creeped me out a bit. She always seemed to know a little too much. And I guess that's kind of where I
Well, I'm
learned what I know is from her.
true. I'm glad you had someone at least, even if they were a little strange.
Strange is a good word for it.
I think it's a kind word for it.
You might be a little too kind. But, I mean, like I said, she's the closest thing I have to a mother. But there's just things about her that I'm not sure I trust.
Well, I
Like
think
what
there's a
she's
little
doing
bit
with
of
those
that in
gems.
that is a good example. Uh, but I just wanted to say that to you, and at least I wanted to, say that I'm open to try things, I guess.
Well, if you trust me, I'll trust you, and we'll take it step by step.
Well, of course.
And if anything ever tries to hurt you, they'll have me to answer to.
Same for you. I know I don't have I can't really punch people, but I feel like I can be intimidating sometimes, I've got a lot of spells that could do that. Just kind of like miming magic.
And I'm looking forward to seeing the usage of all of it. So what are you hoping to find?
Also, you
with
should
the...
definitely probably. Oh, you go
Go ahead.
first.
Go ahead.
No, you.
So what were you hoping to find at the temple, specifically?
Oh, I don't know if I was looking for anything specifically at the temple. It is something that the group heard about before I joined. That they would wanted to check out. I do think though, after learning that, especially after the notes you gave me, I do think that it is the Fanes. I do think that it is the Mountain Fanes Temple.
Uh,
I'm trying to remember that we don't know that for sure, but there's too many coincidences for it to not be.
well, a lot of the things I heard was that that temple up there is just a place of evil.
That would make sense if it had been desecrated.
Yeah, but I'm not quite sure if it's the Faden temple or not. I know there's definitely the one across the river in Berez.
Hold on, I'm taking out the trash.
I'm still here.
Um, but no, I think we will definitely. I definitely think we'll learn something there. There's not a lot that exists still of Barovia before Strahd, and so I definitely think at the very least there is something for us to learn.
Oh, definitely. And hopefully we'll find the answers we're looking for.
Of course. But no, you should definitely yell at me the next time I try to say, "Oh yes, I can do this thing with magic and learning," and I don't already have like 3 projects I'm now working on.
But the 3 projects are a
I know I
great way
don't
to keep you
sleep,
busy.
but this is a lot for me, even with the not sleeping thing.
Well,
Hopefully, but yes.
I'll always keep you company if you want it. I mean, I gotta
Well,
get my
you
sleep
should
eventually, but...
definitely sl you should definitely sleep, but you can be next to me while I do my studying if you
Of course.
want.
Oh, definitely want. Just something about those eyes. Can't stay away.
Just more red.
What does Amy think of all this?
She finds it absolutely adorable.
Good. Good. I'm glad.
God.
I mean, she flirts
But
in our
no,
other
the-
games,
the-
so it's all fair game.
But no, I think at that point it would just kind of devolve.
Yep. Probably be some hugs and a couple more pecks and kisses, but yeah.
then probably head back downstairs so that like the
Uh-huh.
boys
Riss
don't get
turns into
word.
a chibi.
Mhm.
All right. So as you guys are having this conversation, um, Ned steps up to Gawain, who is actively shrinking over the course of time at this point.
Getting closer to my height. Um, so as Riss and Misty go upstairs, I ask Gawain, "Hey, can I have a word with you?"
Of course.
And upon the of Count Cassie staying downstairs with Ludmilla, it's like, let's step outside actually.
All right.
Um so Gawain, at this point, it would be yourself and Sunflower, who seems to come and go all the time, who I've known here the longest. So with him gone right now, I would say you're probably the person I trust the most in Barovia.
You're also the person I trust the most in Barovia.
No, I appreciate that. That being said, outside of the usual suspect of Strahd and his crew, the person I do not trust at all right now is Misty. This actually goes beyond even her attacking Caesar, which I would still say is on purpose, but even if we consider it an accident, what certainly wasn't was the letter she forged about me. And quite simply, it does make me feel very unsafe to just be present here. I feel like if I were to let my guard down to even rest, I don't know what she would do, nor I know what she would be capable of. And that's not a great feeling when you're supposed to be with a group of people that are doing the things we need to do.
We need absolute trust, and that's not something that's been fostered.
No, no. And the letter itself actually upsets me in many ways because it's trying to question my integrity. And it seemed to be a way for her to attempt to plant seeds of doubt in all of you. Which, even if they were to come, we at least have your truth telling spell, which you can feel free to cast on me whenever you like, and we can clear this up immediately. The real point is, because I don't trust her and I don't know what she's capable of, I would really appreciate it if you could watch my back, especially when she's around.
I understand. As much as her platitudes have attempted to ease me, the black smoke is still entirely disconcerting. It's never been wrong before,
Right.
and I'm afraid that this is just a more patient kind of evil, just simply waiting for the precise right moment to strike, which I believe makes her all the more dangerous. She is an apex predator in Barovia.
What?
Right. Speaking of that, I actually wanted to apologize. When you first brought up the black smoke situation, I actually defended Misty and I suppose anyone in general for having it and claimed that perhaps your goddess was wrong about what it means. And granted, there's a small part of me that still believes that may be the case. But I do apologize for not trusting your initial instinct about her. It's interesting what a day could do, where I ended up feeling like I could trust her before, and now I actually trust as much of a dick and evil as Strahd is, I can at least trust his word. He's been good about that, but Misty's already shown herself to not be.
Hmm.
So,
Suppose you're right.
so once again, I'm sorry.
It's it's all right. You were doing what you thought was the right thing to do. I'll never fault you for that.
Riss seem to be taken with her, and I really do like Riss, and actually trust them a lot too, even in the short time I've known them. So really, I feel like we need to watch out for them as well. I don't actually think Misty would hurt them. That seems to be genuine. But I would think they would potentially hurt them indirectly, just by their character. But hopefully I'm wrong about that too.
Yeah. I hmm. I hope you're wrong as well, but I fear you are correct.
Kind of just not
Um,
sure what to do in terms of, well, I need to sleep. Like in general, I mean.
we can
And
take turns.
I'd appreciate that.
You go ahead and get some rest. I'll take first watch.
Kind of sucks to take first watch against people in our own group, but here we are.
Um, and I guess we'll work in Ivor as well into that watch.
Definitely. Man,
Ivor's been
even
really quiet over there. I don't know what's going on.
maybe he had some of Sunflower's weed.
I
He's
don't
just
think
But
sort
I
of like
I don't think I
polishing
did.
his gun and just uh, looking down and making sure it's all totally in spec.
Gawain thinking really, really hard about which butter he used for the recipe. If he used the can of butter he has, or if he used the actual butter.
Thought it tasted a little bit funny.
um, but just continue on. It's like, but yeah, um, it's kind of a new feeling. I mean, when I was back home, obviously, I was able to rest, sleep well, know that anyone who was around me was family or friends. The short time I was traveling with Alejandro and Miguel before they became what they did, those were two people who would lay down their lives before me, if need be. Since I've been with you guys, some of the best friends I've had. And even through all the crazy shit that's happened, I've always felt that I'd be okay around you guys. So now this feeling of just unease, which interestingly enough, even in Strahd's presence, it was different. That was a sense of danger, but at least I knew what was coming. With this, I don't.
No, I get that. I really do. Like, if the If Strahd also exuded the black smoke, everything would be much more clear. But the fact that he doesn't makes it just incredibly convoluted. And I don't understand exactly the defining factor as to what causes the smoke to protrude.
Has any
So
vampire exuded it?
I one, I think, DM.
It
It was
was
the one that
the
was in the basement of that abbey.
there was the there was the sun in the basement of that church.
Hmm.
And then there was also the vampire spawn who out of the house in front of you in Vallaki when you guys first got there.
Okay, there's
Okay.
those spells. Um,
And I believe there
she
were two of
did.
them.
What was that?
He's struggle.
You started cutting off where you were saying your last sentence, Steven.
Oh, okay. Um, the yeah, so it was the one in the basement, the sun locked in the basement, and then there was the two spawn in Vallaki when you guys first got there that jumped out the window.
Hmm. Okay. So 3 vampires so
Three
far that have done
vampires. And then one of the people without a soul, you said?
yes, the one that was attempting to hurt that little girl,
Uh,
Arabella, I believe.
correct. Then, was it his name is Strotsky, was it? The guard who turned into whatever the fuck that was.
Yep, Isaac
Strasny.
Strasny. Yep.
So there was Strozny as well. What about Lise?
Absolutely pouring the most amount of smoke I've ever seen.
And then we have Misty. So out of the 7 people, 5 of them have been shown to produce some kind of harm, and then the other 2 are Lise and Misty. But we don't really know what else they have in common. I mean, I would have said they were all undead, but I don't believe that. I don't believe Misty counts as undead, no?
Nope.
I would have sensed it.
I mean, even if that was the case, we've met other undead who do not exude that.
Correct.
And it can't
Ludmilla, for
simply,
example, doesn't.
correct, and it can't simply be an evil thing because as much as Strahd wants to justify his actions, he has done some cruel and evil things.
He didn't have to torture that man when he captured us. That was
He didn't,
purely for his own enjoyment.
well, he didn't have to do a lot of things, and that's neither here nor there. But I just can't figure out what's connecting these 7 people. Or at least what's connecting them that we haven't encountered in anybody else.
My prevailing theory is it has something to do with evil intent. The intent being there, not necessarily the act.
As you say that, Ned's gonna throw a punch at you. Did I exude anything there?
No,
Huh. Well, just checking. I don't know. If we're going through theories.
it was a good
Did
idea.
I exude? No, I'm kidding.
But again, I mean, what defines evil intent, and why would Strahd torturing a person not could be considered that if that were the case?
That's that's where I'm hung up as well. I the fact that he doesn't exude it makes this so much more difficult to understand.
What about any of the reformers?
Actually, I believe 2 of them did, if I remember correctly, DM.
There was just the one who survived, who there was one little puff at one point that set you into a little bit of a panic, but then it disappeared.
Can you remind me, were the reformers just people, or were they also like vampires?
They were not undead. They were elves.
Got it. Okay, so that's an eighth person, but only kind of.
Hmm.
Wait, hold on. When he was about to make that puff, what was he doing?
You guys had captured him, and you had it was shortly before you took the stage, um, after the fighting had been like immediately after the fighting had been like suppressed. Um, you were putting him into custody and you were going to go take care of something else, and he poof, just like one little wisp. Um,
Is there anything Ned to remember
or
about like what he was looking at, what he was doing, what he was focusing on? If you
no,
were to like flashback it,
he was he was shackled, and I think Wayne was like interview. So either Gawain or somebody else was
was what?
interviewing him.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Interrogating is probably a better word.
It is what we do.
Not wrong.
The werewolves
Huh.
haven't either, correct? Including the big guy that you spoke with?
Not to my knowledge. DM, just back me up on that one. I'm pretty sure. Not.
Yeah, and
Correct.
that big werewolf definitely had ill intent. He said so.
It's true. Hmm.
So if it's not the type of creature they are, it's not their intent. I wouldn't say it's their proclivity for good or evil because that kind of goes back to intent as well.
Maybe it's murderous intent.
I mean, that werewolf was trying to murder us.
Hmm. That's true. Hmm.
I wish I knew who you could ask about this.
I have convened with the Lady of Light a couple of. Was that last night, DM?
Been a long ass day.
Yes. Yes.
That
It
was
has been
last
a long
night.
day.
Okay. Fuck. It's a couple sessions back.
I think I remember her telling you not wanting to define it and just saying they're like bad.
Yeah.
Isn't super helpful for definitions, which is what we were looking for.
Let's see. She said, "Much to you have much to learn, but not this. You know the ill omen you see with me every step. Your eyes see more than most do. Don't be overtaken by emotion. Know to by the emotion you know to be true." Hmm. Yeah, it was a little vague, but she she acknowledged that it was definitively a negative thing that was an ill omen, obviously, but I would feel better with some more specificity.
Hey, so in the future, if you see it, can you let me know? It doesn't even have to be in words, could maybe just be A gesture, a look?
Um,
I mean, I could help you figure this out potentially.
yeah, I'll do just like I'll just drop my hand to my side and I can do it up here so you can actually see it. But just basically do like the Goonies,
Got it.
that, but just down low.
I am pretty short, so that works out. Just try and make it look natural. We don't want people questioning why you're doing the things you're doing.
Good point. Um, Actually, I'll do it like I'm flexing my hand like that, but if I do
Mhm.
it 4 times in a row, that means I saw smoke.
Sounds perfect, actually.
So that way it's not like I can do something by accident and then you're like on alert looking for who's the
Hmm.
smoke monster.
Hmm.
Um, I would really appreciate the help figuring this out because I'm just not smart enough to figure this out on my own. So thank you.
Of course. You're also smarter than you think and give yourself credit for. You figured out more than you know.
Well, too little, too late.
Hmm.
I don't. I'd rather have the ability to anticipate, which I just don't have. I'm just good at being reactive.
Well, I'm sure there's divination spells out there. Maybe I've seen you cast a spell or two. Perhaps there's one that could help you in that regard.
Hmm.
And hey, you have a whole goddess on your side. Sure, there's something you can do with that to perhaps help you in that endeavor. It
Hmm.
honestly must be really cool. You're actually able to speak with the thing that chose you as opposed to waiting for vague hints.
It is nice. I will say those dreams are my favorite things, just because I'm able to feel the sunlight on my skin, on my armor.
It is a weird thing to miss, mostly because I never thought I'd not experience it.
It's odd to mourn something you never knew, but the first time I experienced it, I felt a sense of loss of all the time that I could have been in the warmth of the sun. But alas, we have a duty to do here.
Yep, summon Strahd and kill him. Sounds like a plan. Anyway, we should probably head to bed. Um, okay with getting first watch?
Of course,
Right? Just wake me when it's my turn.
can do.
I also think it's funny that Ned stepped out not because he cared that Lumina listened to this conversation, because he didn't want Cassie to listen to this conversation. He doesn't really. After the conversation with Lumina, surprisingly, he's like, "What is she going to do with this information? Nothing."
That's great. Ah, the stupid cat.
Too
All right.
wild.
As you guys, the two of you come back down the stairs and rejoin the group down in the main area. You guys go ahead and take watches. Setting up down. The wind picks up here and there, but the weather remains constant. Risk, you maintain your work throughout the evening. Wonderful. Any of it come through unclear?
A little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Most
But no,
it then told me, hey, your connection's unstable. I was like, thanks. But yes, Riss, you work on your stuff through the evening as you normally do.
I assume I just memorize tonight
Mhm.
the code.
Mhm.
Um,
Okay.
Gawain.
Oh.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you have something?
No, you were a little choppy there, but that's okay.
Okay. Gawain, as you take first watch, you sort of settle in, and are you like watching anyone in particular? Are you just sort of like playing it nonchalant, back in the background, just keeping an eye on everything? Like, how are you playing this after that conversation with Ned?
Um, I think Gawain is he is ready to go. He is walking around in full armor still, but he's just doing a small little circuit so that he can kind of keep his head on a swivel and just keep his eyes on kind of everything. But he's definitively got Orion uh sitting over by Riss and Canis, just chilling with them. And he's kind of incognito being my little mole, just in case, because I'm assuming that Misty is right over by Riss.
Mhm. Still awake, sharpening wood stakes.
Mhm.
And to
Gawain,
Looking
as
at
spend
you're
some
Ludmilla while
time.
doing
Oh,
it?
What was that?
what's that?
Are you looking at Ludmilla while you're sharpening the stakes?
Oh, hell yes!
She is also not sleeping. She does not need to rest, and stays up through the evening. Um,
I was just saying that Candace spent some time frolicking in the snow. Let the puppy be
we,
a puppy.
Mhm.
we love it. I'm here for it.
Yes, the Mounts have their own little adventure
Definitely enjoys this time.
for a little bit of time.
If we're ever missing people, oh, maybe we do the Mounts adventure.
That would be fabulous.
I mean,
One of
I
those
am going to
weeks
be
when I
missing
just
next
upload when
week,
somebody's out.
just so you know.
Mhm.
Week is that anyway, we'll talk scheduling some other time. Okay. But as you're sort of walking your post, the room begins to illuminate slowly, but rising into a bright light. You glance around and nobody else seems to register or be disturbed by this.
Seeing something obviously different happening, this seems like it would be potentially cause for alarm. Um, how bright are you talking actually? Like, are you talking about like, oh, you can now see well, like dim light, or are you talking like a blinding light?
Not quite blinding, but pretty intense, like LEDs unshielded.
And where does it seem to be coming from?
Your periphery, it's almost sourceless. Everything just becomes illuminated from nowhere.
Does this feel like a sign from the Lady of Light, or does this feel like something else?
It's pretty reminiscent of other conversations you had with her.
Okay, that's a weird question, but does it feel like I'm about to go into like a vision or something?
Not necessarily. You are seeing something that everyone else is not, but that's not entirely uncommon for you. Um, but as you're sort of like trying to suss out what exactly is going on, you feel a presence behind you, much as you have in the past.
Champion, what weighs on your conscience, on your heart? You seem troubled.
My lady, you have told me, confirmed that the smoke is a sign of ill omen, but you have not told me its root cause. And therefore I find myself hesitant to execute my duties so that I may not reap an innocent soul.
Your heart is what drew me to you in the first place. You are good, and you are kind, and you are compassionate. Do not doubt yourself. Trust your instincts.
I will do what must be done, my lady, but I believe that there is a time and a place for this. I believe that right now there is a job to do, and more hands makes lighter work, even if those hands are soaked in blood.
You are wise, and I defer to your judgment, as I rely on you and not the other way around. In this moment, you are my hands, you are my blade. But do not let your hands soaked in blood stab you in the back because of principle. See that you do what you must, but also be true to yourself.
The silver lining of dealing with a rudimentally, potentially evil creature is they are all held by the same base instincts and usually fall into the same base behaviors that can be observed and quantified. I believe if she is worthy of my attention in this matter, in this manner, she will give me the evidence that I need.
There's a warmth on your shoulders as it feels as though she puts her hands like right on your shoulders. Keep them safe. At all costs. preserve your art. They are your heart. Are they not? Keep them safe, my champion.
As you wish, my lady.
And you feel the hands sort of withdraw and the light dim back down. And to everyone else, Gawain has continued to pace as he has, uninterrupted, undeterred. And there does not seem to be any gaps or time where he just was frozen. As he continued to sort of pace back and forth on his watch. Passing from one to the next, you guys all trade off and take your turns. The morning comes, and the sky begins to brighten, and the natural light rises in this space. As the new day is upon you, anyone who has not long rested may go ahead and do so. And that feels like a great spot to pick up next time as you guys begin to continue on toward this mountainside temple, or mountaintop temple, or some kind of temple here in this mountain.
Temple, Mountain Rock, whatever.
You're telling me you've never played Temple Mountain Rock?
Boulder Apartment cheers.
Awesome. Well, that was tons of fun, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us. Those of you in the chat as well, thank you for coming alongside in this chapter. It was much needed as we get into the finicky bits and the relational drama of interparty. But yeah, we will keep you guys updated. I'm not sure what the schedule looks like for next week yet, but we will be sure to keep everyone in the loop over on the RPG Storytelling Myths of Gaia server. So if you aren't there, hop on over.
Yep.
I'm sure that we can find a link tree with the invite to that server. You'll get some updates on when we're streaming, when the game is going to be, and keep you up to date on everything. But once again, thank you for joining us. And always remember, you are the legend at the end of the Dragon's Tale. Good night, everybody.
Night.
Night.
Night.